What's going on, everyone? Christian Hernandez from Sports Reader Group. We're here with another edition of our SVG News sponsor Spotlight. It just so happens to be FanConnect's, a new member of the SVG family, and it's someone that I spoke to. I got this point, I think, last November 2024, when their installation at the Philadelphia Eagles Lincoln Financial Field. It is VP of Product Brett Crossley. Brett, how you doing, sir? How are things going?
I'm doing great. Things are good. Things are busy. So
Good to hear.
we're hitting into that time of year. So
Yes. Busy is always good, and somehow it's near the end of 2025. I'm not sure where this year has went. The time we're recording, it's officially October 1st. So we're in the 10th month of the year, which is absolutely insane. Okay, so let's get down to it, Brett. If this is the first time, not sure why, if someone's hearing of Fan Connect, can you give a brief overview of who you guys are, the products that you provide, and the services, especially in the venue side of things?
sure. And the venue side of things is easy for us because that's really where we are focused. So we make IPTV, digital signage, tablet type solutions for live event venues. And so mostly that is sports stadiums and arenas, and then their associated entertainment districts, et cetera. Yeah, I'd say that if you're looking at a screen inside of a stadium, and if it's not like a center hung LED board, a ribbon board, et cetera, the kind of things that will be controlled by like a Ross, if it's not that, then we have tools and technology to manage it, put content on the screen, control it, that sort of thing.
Sure. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, at this point, if every stadium, whether it's collegiate or professional, has that sort of
Oh yeah.
IPTV, intuitive type of system, and you guys are one, or if not the main player in that space. One of the key things that I want to harp on from the business side of things is that you guys are helping your clients do a lot more with a lot less. And from the end user client side, that's music to everyone's ears because they want to be able to do a lot more without, the cost with a cost saving aspect to it. So can you dive a little deeper on that, Brett? How are you able to do that? And I guess what are the feedback that you're hearing back from those customers?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it really is a goal of ours. I would say that the first thing, we talk with our customers a lot. So I tell people that if you're looking for a quiet vendor, we're probably not the best fit because we're going to follow back up, and we're going to keep following back up until you tell us, hey, we're good, we've got this, just let us go. But we ask people what the things is that they're trying to do that are hard. And then the second question we ask people is, what are you trying to do that you simply can't do? Forget about it being hard, but it's like not possible for you to manage. And so that's led us to build a couple of things that are really focused on how people manage events. And specifically, so think, for example, in the simplest case, if you've got somebody like with a baseball stadium. So we work with the San Diego Padres. The
Right.
Padres own their facility. It's primarily, they're the primary tenant, but they also have concerts there. So they only have two kinds of events that really matter there. They've got Padres games and other, right, in terms of
Right.
the way that they think about everything. And so we the first thing that we give people is an event-based scheduler. And so when the Padres go in, when the group that manages all of this, which is part of the IT group over there, when they log in and they take a look at their view, it's a calendar-based view. And all of the Padres games are already there because of our deep kind of integration with sports. We're tied in with Major League Baseball, with the Major League Baseball APIs, and we can populate all the games for them. And if a game moves, for example, like if you have a game that was a day game and because of the network, you need to move it to a night game, our system is going to know that that has happened. And then everything that you've scheduled to have happen for that, for example, Padres game is going to move with it.
Right.
So what that does is it gives them the ability to plan in advance all of the things that they want to have happen generally for a Padres game. And then the final piece is they've got the ability to override that on a per event basis. And so the example there, so there's a woman that manages the community kiosk and sort of the Padres community foundation there on site. Every game they have a different charity that they might be doing things with. So one week it might be the ASPCA, another time it might be a group that's feeding the homeless, whatever it is, different groups. And so for every event, there's a kiosk that's got several TVs, several Fan Connect players that are behind it. And she can go in, take a look at that calendar, and go game by game, clicking on each game and change the behavior of that system for each game. So she doesn't have to remember when the game is, and she doesn't have to care if the game even moves, right? Because schedules move. And so you can build that all out. That allows them to get more done in less time. And the other thing that they've told us, and this is true with really everybody we've talked to, they've been able to delegate out and let other people take over parts of the content that have to do with their area. So it could be membership HQ, which is, the season ticket holders. It could be the people that are operating the suites, could be the people that are running the ticketing windows. And so by being able to delegate that out and make that something that actually works for them, they can get more done because the IT team is not having to go in and do all of that work.
Right. Right. I think the Padres was a perfect example because a Major League Baseball team with, like you said, 81 home games and then a popular venue in perfect weather, right? To be quite frank, in Petco Park,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of concerts, a lot of outdoor events there. And I think the thing that you mentioned, and even the call that we had back in last year when we were talking about Lincoln Financial, the automation piece of it, right? There's so many things that teams are worried about. The last thing they want to worry about is having to do all that stuff manually. So the fact that you guys provide that for them and they can have, like you said, different groups in the organization, departments take care of what they have to if they need to get in there. And then, like you said, a lot of theme nights or charities and organizations. Going back to the baseball piece, there's so many different charities and organizations that someone like the Padres or any other team work with. So, perfect example on that side. Segueing, it's like you know the questions already, Brett. Besides the Padres and besides the defending Super Bowl champions in South Philly, other venues that you guys are working with, either other venues or other teams that you guys are working with, because I'm sure it's plenty.
Sure. So we've been around for a while. For a long time, what we made was something that would work with, say, the QAM, coax, or kind of cable systems that teams have. And so this is used in a lot of colleges. And so you can imagine a pretty straightforward setup where we are wrapping a channel at the head end. So, maybe you've got your live game feed coming in with SDI. You route that into one of our servers. The outbound SDI goes into a modulator, and now we're channel 12.1. And we do that for a number of teams, right? So if you go to really most of the top teams in college football, they're going to be running a product of ours, right? So that could be Ohio State, Michigan, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, just Oregon. It's a very big list.
Yeah.
And then as far as the people that are running our kind of full product, and what we call that, because I got tired of saying IPTV, digital signage, and tablets, we call it Connected Media Network. We wanted to give it a name.
Yeah.
And so people that are running a version of the full product would include Ohio State, where they run our tablets. So for watching the out of town games in the loge areas at Ohio Stadium, they have our tablets. They can click on those. They can watch live TV. The other thing they can do with those, though, is they can check out of town scores, and they can hit a button that says summon an attendant, and then a loge attendant's going to come over, take their order, whatever they need to do, trying to help them increase premium F&B sales. U.S. Naval Academy is the latest one that is now on our product. They just got signed up at the beginning of this season. Also, we haven't put out a press release on it yet, but MetLife Stadium in near you guys up there in New York, they were up and running on FanConnect for the start of the season this year. So before preseason, we had everything up and running. It's several thousand of our devices up there. So it's a very large network in terms of the build out there. University of Maryland was one of our early collegiate customers on the full product. And so if you go to a game at Xfinity Center, which really is state of the art, right? They think of themselves as being in that DC market. So they don't think they're competing in college. They're competing against people spending money at a pro, dollar level. So Maryland's Xfinity Center uses it. They liked what we were doing well enough that they decided they want to use that same technology in the football stadium. They're using it for the new lacrosse venue and rolling it out to parts of campus. I'm trying to think, see if I'm missing anybody. Oh, CF Montreal up in Canada,
Okay.
another recent one. That was the start of this season. And so that's full IPTV. And that one is on Samsung system on a chip, where the Eagles was LG system on a chip. And then the MetLife and Naval Academy, and as well as the Padres, are using our hardware, which is the FanConnect FC5. I'm going to show it off. It's actually really small. Like I hold it up to the camera and it looks big, but
Right.
it's a really small player, and it doesn't weigh very much, but it is extremely powerful. It's got an 8-core CPU. It's got a 4-core GPU. What that gives you is the ability to do complex animation, right? So if you kind of think about what you want to do at a concession stand, if you're trying to composite video, you want to put in maybe a premium F&B video. So let's say you want to have a picture of a featured liquor brand, and that's a video, and that's on top of a video background. And then you also want to have point of sale integration. You have like all these moving layers that player can do all of that. Not sure if I answered the question about all the venues, but I think that's all the recent ones that
Yeah.
I can think of off the top of my head right here.
Perfect. Yeah, you bring up the I guess the continued merging or continued migration to the cloud, right? And as sports venues kind of get more sophisticated, either get larger, more, technologies are getting enhanced in that aspect. What are some trends? And we also met it on automation too. But what are some trends that you're seeing in the IPTV space? And I guess how do you see either your business or this entire portion of the industry kind of changing as we move forward?
Sure. I think that it's interesting when you look at IPTV
Mhm.
in the live venue space, right? There's a very small number of people that do what we do there.
Right.
We are the newest people that do that. One of the reasons that we set about wanting to move into this market was it's not like the trends within the industry were moving. What was happening is the trend outside the industry was very clearly moving, and that was already part of the direction we were at. We kind of modern cloud-based architecture with all the proper kind of redundancy and all of that built into it, and the speed that you get from that. And so when we saw that that wasn't the norm in this world, right? That we were still looking at a world that viewed IPTV kind of the way you view like a switcher, right? They
Mhm.
viewed it like it was a piece of hardware. You buy this thing, you install it in the rack, it's expensive, you're hoping to use it for 5 years. It does on year five what it did on year one, and then you throw it away and buy a new one, right? And so
Right.
that's it's kind of a model that I feel like a lot of SVG, people would understand because it's a hardware model, right? It's like, oh, you install a piece of hardware and that's what happens.
Right.
When you move to a cloud infrastructure, one of the things that we tell people, we listen really, well. Like when we talk with, if you talk to our customers, talk even our prospects, they'll tell you that we're pretty responsive and we can make changes to the software or additions to it, and we do that in a way that's pretty responsive. And so one way to differentiate that is we release a new version of our CMS. That's the thing you log into, right? So like
Right.
log into the cloud and you're clicking around. A new version of that is released every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Imagine contrasting that to what goes on with anything that is installed on-prem.
Right.
Maybe the vendor does release a new release, I don't know, once a quarter, once every
Yeah.
6 months. I'm not sure how often they release them, but the way that that happens is they tell you that there's a patch available, and then they send you instructions, and then you have to go in and do that migration.
Sure.
We take care of all that for our customers, right? So they don't have to worry about that. The CMS is always up to date. We release new versions of the player software that adds support for things like I remember when we needed to add support for HDR, if you need to add support for 4K, whatever the thing is, at that point in time when we needed to do that, we're able to push that out through a player update. Those are coordinated with our customers, right? So we tell them that it's available, they can log into the CMS and they update it because really what they're wanting to do is do that when they don't have a game scheduled,
Yeah.
right? I used to talk with baseball people and I said, is there a word that means the opposite of a home stand? Is there an away stand?
Waste
Or
stand,
whatever
right?
that is. If there isn't a away stand, that's when you'd want to go, upgrade all your players.
Right.
Um, but by itself, the fact that we can do those upgrades every 2 weeks means we can answer a lot of questions. We can make a lot of things better. And so when we have people, contact us and they're like, hey, we really need to see this, or we'd love to change the way that this view works. Or I'll give you an example is like when we go in and do searches and we're trying to search for all the devices that have a particular tag, could you remember that search? And the next time we go to that same view, just take us back to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's a nice feature. Everybody's going to want that. We put that on the roadmap. We move it through engineering. We put it through staging and QA, and then we roll it out. And so that speed means we're just more responsive to those guys.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you can't get asked for anything more than that, right? With an industry where technology is always changing, those 2 week those whatever it is, every 2 week updates are critical in order to ensure success for the clients. Amazing.
I
Brett,
think that,
yeah,
oh,
keep
go
going.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
when you say that, the other thing when it comes to trends, I guess we think that there's a few other trends that we're seeing. One is I think that LED, systems as being something that needs to be fed content, that
Mhm.
that is going to be something you're going to see continuing to happen. Because so think about today, like if you go into a modern ballpark, you're
Right.
going to see screens, and some of the time you can't even tell is the thing I'm looking at a large TV or a small LED board, right? That's going to continue to happen because the price of LEDs is dropping. You got people out there that are making, really high quality, LEDs that are perfect for the sports market. The sizes are getting down to where they're economically viable. They're very bright, they're vibrant, people like to look at them.
Right.
But one of the things that would happen today, so if you think about how you're controlling that, a lot of times you're having to dedicate a ROS expression to that video, to the LED board.
Right.
And that works fine if you're talking about a center hung in a basketball arena, or if you're talking about ribbon boards or something like that. But if you start talking about all the ones you're going to want to put in your concourse areas, you're putting them down in your clubs, you're building video walls so that when people walk into an affinity club, a sports bar, and they're looking up, they see the screens. There's going to be several things that you're going to have to do. And one is, how do you keep that content fresh? And so if you look at what we did with University of Maryland, there's a great example there where we helped them out with content that is evergreen. And so instead of having to build out videos where you've got this video that's canned, you built it in After Effects or whatever, you've got content that you can create to put on a video wall. And all you have to add at the beginning of each season is new green screen videos of your players. And then you let the players go in and update what they want to see, like their Instagram handle, the inspirational quotes, whatever. And so the ability to build out content that is going to stay fresh without you having to take your video production team and say, you guys just got, a bunch more screens to deal with. We think that's a trend that we're gonna see more of.
Awesome. Terrific. Brett, great talking to you, sir. Thanks again for all the insights. Very pleased to have you part of the SVG family, and hope to see you in person sometime soon, Brett.
Absolutely. Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you up there in New York next time.